Arizona comes to Boulder this Saturday, and Ryan, this is an Arizona team that's been a little bit Jekyll and Hyde early on this season. Part of that is because Anu Solomon did miss the better part of 2 games due to a concussion. He was back in the mix last week, looked really good in that Oregon State game. Thoughts about the Wildcats coming out to Boulder?
Yeah, I think Solomon is what kind of makes them tick. And he looks like he got right back where he left off last week. Where he kind of brings something that has given the Buffs trouble is that ability to scramble. He's great at extending plays, and McIntyre talked about it today, saying that his biggest message to his linebackers is you can't give up on a play. You have to make sure you play to that whistle, because he'll dance around back there, and all of a sudden some guy, the linebacker leaves his man and the running back's wide open and he just flicks it to him, and that's where they get those big plays. And I really think CU just has to minimize the big plays this week. I think that's how they have success.
They're a little bit of a different style in terms of being a quarterback, but I feel like Anu Solomon's kind of what CU fans have wanted Sefo Liufau to develop into from a decision-making standpoint. Anu Solomon is the last quarterback in the Pac-12 to not throw an interception this season. He's a guy that's not necessarily going to be an all-conference guy most likely throughout his career, but he's definitely a solid piece. Nick Wilson, their stud running back, a sophomore, also was banged up in that Oregon State game. We're not quite sure. We're still hearing out of practice reports out of our Arizona guys that he's still a little bit banged up. But this is an Arizona offense that can still put up points.
Yeah, and I think the scary thing there is that the Buffs are so young at linebacker and so inexperienced there. This defense, or this Arizona offense, prides themselves on confusing linebackers, confusing your defensive linemen, getting you in the wrong spot and exposing that. Well, if there's ever a time that CU is prone to that, it's this week, without having their top linebackers going all the way back to NJ Fallow and Grant Watson getting in there. So I think that is the huge thing here, is that Arizona loves to confuse you, and those guys are pretty prone to being confused out there.
Yeah, like to your point, that offense can make veteran guys look silly at times, and you're going to have 3 freshmen and a sophomore out there playing inside linebacker for Colorado. We're going to see Granton Watson for the first time in his career. He had been kind of redshirting up until this point, but obviously with the injuries, he needs to be ready to go out there. What are you expecting to see from him? He's definitely got the right mindset to be a linebacker. Does he have the experience and size? Yeah,
I think you'll see him make some big plays. I think he'll get up there in the run game and make some big hits. He's a big hitter. I mean, he loves to lay the wood. So I think he'll make some exciting plays out there. Where I think he could be exposed is when they're messing around with the reads and that sort of thing. I think just by nature, he's going to get caught up a couple times, and it's going to be on the safeties, I kind of think, to pick him up and pick up that linebacking core when they make a big mistake, because you can afford 15 yards, you can't afford 50. So I think Watanabe, people are gonna kind of love the way he plays, because he's one of those guys that kind of has his hair on fire out there, but he's certainly prone to make a mistake in coverage or get caught up going in the wrong gap. So I think it'll be a hit or miss type of thing.
NJ Fallow, of course, is going to see a lot of action out there as well. I think Colorado fans need to be a little bit patient with him. This is a guy that practiced at outside linebacker for much of his time here until some of those injuries started to mount up. And in this scheme, an outside linebacker and an inside linebacker are totally different positions. So he's kind of behind the 8 ball from that sense, but he seems really excited about the opportunity. With Arizona's defense, they rank currently 90th in scoring defense. So this should be the type of defense you should be able to rack up some points against. We said that same thing going into the Oregon game, and it didn't really bear fruit the way that the Buffaloes needed it to. This is a week Phillip Lindsay needs to get some carries. We've seen him be productive when given a chance, and I think there's even some remorse from these coaches that when he was hot in the first half of that Arizona State game that they didn't go to him more. I think this is going to be kind of a coming out party. He did have 100 yards against the Wildcats last year, his first 100-yard game, so I think it's going to be a big day for Phillip.
Yeah, just with the way things are going this week, you just got to feed it to him. The way he rallies the team after the last game. He calls the players-only meeting on Sunday. He's emerging right now as the leader of this team, not just a leader. And you got to let him go out there and show it on the field. And he's done it every time he's gotten a chance, basically. But this is a week where you just got to say, all right, Phil, you want to talk like that? You want to get everyone fired up? Go prove it on the field, and go crazy out there. I think they're going to want to get the ball to him upwards of 20 times this week, and I think that's going to be a really good thing for this offense. And just let Phil go out there and lead.
you're going to have your spotlight on an offensive player as well, correct?
Yeah, I just have a really good feeling about Sefo this week. The way things have been trending.
Was it the best Tuesday practice in CSU?
It was that. No, I said this to you before McIntyre said that line, but I just have a good feeling about Sefo. I think he's finally just going to say, you know what, enough is enough. I'm sick of the bad press. I'm sick of everyone ripping on me. He feels healthier than he has since before the CSU game, we hear. And I just think he's going to go out there and ball and just kind of do his thing finally, and just kind of be himself and not worry about, everything too much. I think he's been overthinking a bit this year. So I expect Sefo to, have a 350 and 3 TDs type of game and really go out there and lead this team to a big game.
Both our highlights are on offense, guys. I feel like if Colorado's going to win this game, it's going to be in a shootout. I think Arizona's going to be able to score some points on Saturday, so Colorado's going to have to keep up with that. Again, until I see them take that next step as a program, I'm going to continue to kind of lean towards the opponent. I'm going to pick Arizona to win this football game 41-38.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm doing this. It's my head tells me that you're right on this one, and that Arizona's going to go out and win this game. But sometimes you just got to go with your heart, and I just have a good feeling about the way this thing is trending when leading up to this game. And like I said, I really think Sefo is going to go out there and ball along with Phil Lindsay, and I think those two kind of carry this team on Saturday and kind of light up the scoreboard a little bit. So I'm picking the same score as you, the other way around. Colorado 41, Arizona 38.
All right. Yeah, this is a pretty critical 2-week stretch. Arizona can be a good football team, but I would lean to say they're kind of a middle-of-the-pack type of team. Next week at Oregon State, they've got to get a win in these next 2 weeks, in my opinion. And, Ryan, you talked about the players-only meeting that they held. I think you've got to be able to kind of back that up out on the field to keep your mindset, your mentality emotionally stable as you go through the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think the point of that players only meeting is to kind of make sure everyone's head is in the right place. Make sure no one's putting their head down and starting to feel like, oh, here we go again, which is great. But if you go out there and lay an egg this week, then those guys think, all right, well, everything we talked about, everything we try and do, we do the players-only meeting, we try and get everyone on the same page, and it's still not working. And I think that can be a scary moment for the future of this season if they kind of go out there and have a big letdown. So they have to go out there and really prove it to everyone else, but really prove it to themselves that when they really buy in, they really believe, and they really put everything into it, that they can win.
All right, well, it's homecoming weekend at CU. Should be beautiful weather. We'll see you out there at Folsom Field.